sure. My only comment would be you're never sure how the public is going to work. And I don't know as you can plan for a misstep, but we can plan to be visible. And as issues arise, I believe the bylaw department would be looking at that. And if it needs more bylaw people, maybe that would be the time to go that route. But I just kind of question that line of thought. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have any other comments? Go ahead, Councillor Ainsworth.
Through you, Mayor. So the enforcement that's been there in the past, it's only been the last set of bylaw officers that's really had the big issues. Anything else might be a 2% issue with the county forest. And so that enforcement group got taken out of the county forest, and then it just kind of ran the rest of the year as is. So this would be a great improvement to bring some of our own people in there, educate them for sure on what's going on and what the processes are. And you know, I think it's going to be a great approach.
Anyone else? Mayor Gaffer?
Actually, there's a question through you too, Dave. I am interpreting this correctly, that this is saying 6 hours, but one person? Was there any thought given to it being only 3 hours at whatever random time, but with 2 people to make increased safety for the individual working?
Thank you for the question, through you, Mayor.
Yep.
So just to start, I respect Councillor Neal's thoughts on the risk involved, because there is risk involved for sure. One of the things and steps that we've done is to make sure that our bylaw officers are certified under the bylaw certification process with the province. So the 3 hours per shift is something that we can definitely go back to the county and ask if that's something that they're willing to look at. The 6 hours a day is something that they have had in the past. And that's been the program that they've done. In our conversations and for consideration of somebody being alone, it's to be that watchful eye, is to take pictures, it's to investigate situations, it's to be present. As far as, you know, the spinning of tires at county staff, was that county staff or
It was at county staff.
bylaw officers or county staff?
It was a staff member.
So there definitely can be contention in any situation, and that could be the same as going to a property standards bylaw complaint or dealing with a parking complaint or anything that has to do with that. I've definitely seen that. So the training aspect is significant and obviously comes with a position like that. So we would have to go through that, and to answer the question directly, it's a conversation that we could take back to the county staff and see.
If I can throw in my 2 cents, and from what I know is that the last people that the county hired were not bylaw people as much as they were security people. And those people are taught to, if that's the rule, I don't care, you're going to do that because that's what the rules say. And perhaps that's a little bit strong for some of the things that perhaps go on in there. And I think the approach should at least be first that they, you know, talk to the guy and find out what their issue is, or just take pictures. And I would think that that bylaw has the opportunity to call in, and I've seen that before, we were calling police officers if they see it's going to could get hit. So anyways, are you going to make a motion? Are you happy?
We've got a motion on the floor.
Okay.
If I may, though, since you've asked, Mayor Logo.
Well, I'm asking.
I'm listening to the conversation, very aware that this time last year was very problematic. People in the forest when they weren't supposed to be, damage being done to the trail system because of people using it too soon, those kinds of things. So I'm wondering if maybe there could be a bit of a phased in where the contentious times, maybe we say there's two people and at other times there's one. Anyway, I think I've made people aware that I do have concerns about safety of individuals in what has had a track record of contention.
Mike?
Through you, Mayor, I would agree there should be two.
Okay,
Any other enforcement we've had out there, there's always been two. And I think it's just good for backup and safety.
are you going to make a motion then? We have to have a second person appointed as a bylaw, in a bylaw position. I
We
guess
have
that's what
to.
we're saying, eh?
We have two, don't we?
No, so Dave.
Through you, Mayor. So this report identifies the need to hire additional support. The two that you have now are during the week and under the existing framework of the 2025 budget. We haven't identified that we need to go bigger for the township. This is call it a subsidiary to help out the county and to do it under our existing bylaw department. If the wish of the committee of the whole is for us to go and speak to the county and say, we would like to see that there's two people here and how can we make this happen? I'm happy to have that conversation with the county and report back to the committee of the whole or to council.
What, if you said that you have bylaw enforcement on right now, and are they going out into the forest?
Through your mayor, so our existing are there to help out our current bylaw needs.
Okay.
For complaints, for investigating, updating bylaws, numerous amounts of activities, but that's to support the initiatives of the Alnwick Haldeman Township.
Okay.
That does not support the initiatives of Northumberland County.
Okay.
So this report is to support the initiatives of Northumberland County through the department, but also it has a spinoff in helping support us.
Councilor Booth, do you have a comment?
Yes, through your worship, I think that's a good idea from both councillors that if we are going to help out the county, I think it's good that we believe if it's our staff that are helping out, at least for the start of this project, that it would be safer to have two people there. And if the county is not interested in bringing the money forward with that, then my take on it would be, well, then I guess you'll have to look at somebody else that will want to help you. But if we're helping them out with our staff, I think our staff safety is ultimate, right? And that might mean that the two people we currently have won't be able to do their weekday work and then do these ones too. So they might have to look at hiring more. I don't know.
Okay. So I'm hearing that we'd like to send staff back to approach the council and say that we have some concerns and how can our group and them get together and help the solution. Is that what I'm hearing?
Mayor,
Yes.
through you. Would it make a good idea to have like just a little ad hoc committee to get this off, to throw all the information together, find out what's been going on in the past, what worked, what didn't work? I know and it has to be done on a very timely fashion because things are going to open here in May.
Go ahead.
Just a comment through you, your worship. I think Councillor Ainsworth, that would take too much time. I think the CAO has advised that he can easily go back to the county to say there's some concern from council that if it's just one staff member, would the county be willing to, basically they're going to have to pony up to, there's going to have to be more money, or we're talking 30,000 and they have 40 or 45. So maybe they run it for, I don't know, a few months in the summertime. And if they get close to spending that money, then they'll have to look at it to, maybe it possibly could go to one person, right? I just think it's quicker to do what you were suggesting, Mr. Mayor, and what Dave was suggesting is have that, it could be solved in a phone call. Or they might completely reject that and it's like, okay, why would we form a committee to talk about it all if the county's not interested in it then?
Go ahead.
Through you, Mayor, to answer Councillor Ainsworth's question as well as conform with some things that Councillor Booth is bringing to light. We have looked at the history. We've discussed it at the table for sure. We've had the county lawyer present going through this because it was part of the communication with respect to the overall effort going into the agreement between the township and the county for all of the trail use within the forest. So we definitely have looked at the history of it. This is why we've come to this wording. And although it's a bylaw officer, we want an ambassador. You know, much like when you go to a provincial park, you have park superintendents or park people there. I forget the name at this point in time, but they're there with their colors on and they're representing the park and they're keeping order within the park, etc. And so that's the model that we are considering for sure. With respect to the dollar value assigned for wages of one person, that's for 52 weekends, representing 52 weeks of the calendar year. So there are certain times of the year where we probably could push pull that we didn't need the enforcement. We could, but when we look at the hiring process, it has to be open and transparent for an initiative like this. And so if we're going to hire somebody on a part-time basis, we have to keep them employed for a certain amount of time as well. So we're just looking at all that. So easy to get you the answer to your question here today.
And I think Mary Catherine, maybe everybody else, somebody else brought it up too. There are times of the year when you do probably more susceptible to challenges in the, and that would be the first of the year. And probably he's flying along smooth during the other parts. But anyways, I think that's good. Mary Catherine?
I think it would be appropriate for us to make a motion to defer until CIO Dawson speaks with the county and brings this back with a plan that includes or addresses our safety concerns. Is that a good way to word it?
Okay, thank you. Can I get a second for that?
I just wanted to make a comment before that, if I may,
Yep, go ahead.
through you, Mayor Logal.
Well, actually, no, somebody's got a second there.
I'm still with the conversation before Mary Catherine's,
I have a motion on the floor, so we need a seconder for that. To defer. No seconder? Sorry. Go ahead.
I would just like to, I would not like to have this held up. I mean, staff can do what they need to do to get this started, and to hold it up till there's another conversation. I'm completely happy to pass this as it reads. If there's another step that needs to happen, then I would suggest that it come back to council at that time. So I wouldn't like to see this held up.
Go ahead.
To you, Mayor, directly. So with respect to this being in the committee of the whole, the only recommendation is for it to go to council. So I would suggest that by the council meeting that we could have an update for this council so that you could make an informative vote and decision at that council meeting. I fully respect and understand everyone's nervousness with respect to this position.
Okay. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have the Parks and Rec Facility Report. And Jeremy, you're going to be up here to do that?
This is the food. What is this?
Gotta wait.
He turned your mic off.
Yeah, And we really shouldn't be going ahead and starting until Greg gets back, so we want to take a recess. It's going to be a 2-minute one. Can I get over a second? Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Councillor O'Neill. Give it a second. All in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, next we're going to Parks, Recreation and Facilities report. We have Jeremy here. So Jeremy, good report. You want to take us through it?
Sure. So, the first report is, just, staff wanting to go out for an expression of interest for the, food services for the canteen, areas down at the arena. That is the first one, right? I don't have the agenda.
Yes,
Yeah. There's been some very unofficial rumors and conversations that I've heard about people wanting or interested in operating the indoor and outdoor spaces down there. Obviously, both are sitting vacant right now. So basically just one last look under every stone to see if there is an opportunity for somebody who wishes to take that on, before staff decide what to do long term with those two spaces, if not some form of revenue generation.
Thank you. Everybody understand what that is?
Mhm. Yep.
Okay. I'll get a mover in a second and then we can debate. Go ahead. Councillor Ainsworth is moving, seconded by Councillor Booth. Any questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor Ainsworth.
Through you, Mayor. No, I was glad to see this report because I think it's long overdue. It's something that's been missing in that area for sure. When it comes to tournaments, both ball and hockey. So this is great to see coming forward, and I hope someone steps up to the plate.
Thank you. Other comments? Deputy Mayor Stover.
Through you, Mayor Logal, to Jeremy. So this expression of interest, how long do you expect it to take? Like, would you post it for 30 days, that sort of thing? I'm just kind of wondering about the time. We are just heading into ball and everybody getting things ready. So would it be something you'd be moving on fairly quickly for an expression of interest?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the window for an expression of interest doesn't need to be as long as, say, an RFP, as it's
Okay.
just seeking interest. So couple weeks
Okay.
kind of thing. If there is a lot of interest, then we would need to look at a longer process to go out for multiple submissions on an RFP.
Just a follow up. So your expression of interest, what timeline are you looking at for 2025, 2026? Or would this be somebody coming in there if there is a commitment of money to put into the facility? Would it be for like a 5-year term or a 3-year, 2-year term? What sort of term would you be looking at?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it would be 1 year.
1 year.
For now, until, with probably extension options, but with the uncertainty as to the future of that site. In the short term and long term, we wouldn't be looking at signing any kind of long-term deal right now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You. Go ahead, Councillor O'Neill.
So this is a perennial question. You can go back through minutes from many years now as different things have been tried, especially since the volunteers stopped managing those. And none of them have been particularly successful. And it's been a challenge. It was something we discussed at one of our meetings last year with the Recreation, Culture and Community Development Committee. And at that point, the committee didn't even really have any recommendations to bring forward. We recognized at the committee that there was a need of some sort. And from what happened in that discussion, I became very aware that for ball tournaments, it's often a requirement that the host must have food. And the most practical step forward at that point was that ball would look into having some food trucks available for those events. So anyway, it's just to make sure that we have had discussions with Ball, because they may have already taken steps based on what happened last year to address this. But the practicality of upgrading that in a short term may not be practical for this season, to your point that we do have some time constraints here.
Any other comments? I tend to agree with Mary Catherine that it hasn't been really successful. Some have done it unsuccessfully, but at the same time, if there's people that are interested in doing it, I think we should be going out and giving them the opportunity to do it.
One
I
hundred percent.
agree.
Go ahead, Mary Catherine.
I'm just wondering, this is specific to the canteen areas, but could the expression of interest also include a food truck for the short term for this season for certain dates, whether that's something that would be part of the consideration or not?
My thought is on that, if we're sending them out to get expressions of interest, and if somebody's interested in that, it's a great thing to do, then we bring it back. Right? This is just us, we can go ahead and do it. Go ahead, Mary Catherine.
Correct, but I'm just reading what's sitting in front of us, Mayor Logal, and it does say it's specific to the outdoor and indoor canteens. And I am thinking that perhaps we need to know if there's an expression of interest around food trucks as well, and what that might involve, and whether anything is happening with Ball. So it's expanding what I see in front of me is what I'm suggesting.
Do you have a comment?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, certainly, I think the option is there for food trucks to show up and vend on site already. I don't believe that there's any existing requirements from the municipality for business licenses or anything like that for
There is a food truck
or a food
business
truck?
license.
There is.
I would think there should be.
There certainly should be. Go ahead.
Do you have a comment?
Through you, Mayor, just to assist with Jeremy, we do have a bylaw that does govern the food trucks, and there is a food truck license. I don't know specifically, though, if the language in the bylaw permits them to show up on township property to conduct business. So that's something that we potentially could look at before the next council meeting where this comes up again. And I know where that exists, so we could clarify that for you and help.
Thank you. So moved by Councillor Ainsworth, and seconded by Councillor Rubin, that the committee of the whole received report PR 2026 Arena Complex Food Service Provider expression of interest for information, and that the committee of the whole recommends to council that the council direct staff and seek expressions of interest for operating food services in the outdoor and the indoor canteens at the Holden Community Memorial Arena. All in favor?
Oh, Mayor Lobo, can I make an amendment to that then, that all staff also explore food truck options?
Is that okay for everybody? Huh? So are you amending motions?
Yes, the amendment is to add, also explore food truck possibilities.
Are you a seconder for that? Second by Councillor Booth, all in favor? Motion's carried. Okay. Well, the amendments there, we still have to vote on.
Correct.
That was moved by Councillor Ainsworth and Councillor Booth. All in favor? Hold on. Okay.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the amended motion is that the Committee of the Whole receives report PR 2025-06, Arena Complex Food Service Provider Expression of Interest for Information, and that the Committee of the Whole recommends to Council that Council direct staff to seek expressions of interest for operating food services in the outdoor and indoor canteens, as well as for food truck services at the Haldeman Community Memorial Complex.
A comment through you, your worship, now that we have the amended thing is, I'm just concerned, the CAO, when he mentioned about the food truck and that hopefully we can have something come back to us, because I know in previous employment, there was a town bylaw where organizations just cannot invite any food truck to come, because the township will be liable too if, for example, Ball just brings in Joe Blow's hot dog thing and somebody gets sick, and there's procedures with the health department and everything that has to be done. So I'm hoping that can come back to us, some kind of, even if it's just an investigation to say that Ball people or hockey people or whoever's running something there has to get some kind of permission from us so that we do have control, because it's our property, right? Thank you. That's why I'm not sure. I know Dave spoke on it. I'm hoping it is. I know it was in previous places of employment. Just because you rented the Ball Diamonds doesn't mean that you can bring in, Joe's Barbecue and do whatever.
Councillor Ainsworth, it's your original motion. Are you okay with that? Hand it on.
Yes.
All in favor? That's carried. Number 8.2, agreement for advertising rights expression of interest. That the Committee of the Whole received report PR 2025-07, agreement for advertising rights expression of interest or information, and that the Committee of the Whole recommend the council direct staff to seek expression of interest to sell and install advertising opportunities at the Haldeman Community Memorial Complex and other potential opportunities within the township as they arise. Do you have any, anybody have any questions, comments? Go ahead, Councilor Ainsworth.
Through you, Mayor. I just for my own self here, we're hiring someone to take this on, and are we splitting cost or are we splitting revenue? Okay.
Need mover and seconder. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stoller, seconded by Councilor Booth. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah. So again, I just want to be sure on if we hiring a contractor to do this for us, are we splitting the revenue, and is there any cost for that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the intent would be to find a provider who goes out, makes all the sales, and it's a revenue share with the township. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Through you, Mayor Jeremy. But this is something that would be identified to council through this expression of interest, right? So that we could understand the percentages, et cetera, before we would enter into it.
That's correct.
Great, thanks.
Okay, perfect.
Go ahead, Councilor O'Neill.
I actually have two questions. So the first question for you is, what is the current revenue from advertising and what is the anticipated revenue from this type of contract?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, the anticipated piece, I would suggest will come back, like Dave just indicated to council, if there are submissions, if there is interest out there, and we can look at the proposals and address the anticipated then. The statistical history on advertising pulled through the financial software. The year 2020 was $533. The year 2021 was $84. The year 2022 was $250. The year 2024 was $750. So, in my opinion, substantially lower than what it should be. Obviously a reflection of the limited resources and staffing in actually getting good leads and making advertising sales and collecting the money and all of that kind of stuff, which is why I'm suggesting we go out and see if there's somebody out there that wants to help us with this.
So that does actually lead me into my second question, which is what other small arenas are already using this model and what has their experience been?
I can, yeah.
Okay, good.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, there is one provider that I know of who works with Trent Hills, Scugog, Uxbridge, Aurora, Halton Hills, Newcastle, Coburn, Port Hope, Stouffville, on and on and on, Grammy. I'm just looking at just some of their existing customer base.
It does, but if you would allow us a comment, is that okay? So Trent Hills, I know when they entered into this contract, it was part of their new build, and they were pleasantly pleased with how it worked out for them and that there were naming rights and there was a lot going on here. I'm not sure we as a municipality are quite at that stage right now because we haven't decided what is going to happen at that facility. So my sense is this might be premature when we're talking about $750 for those big boards. I'm not sure that there's going to be an outside company who's going to, dramatically increase our revenues on an old facility like that. But I would like to see this come back because I think it will be an important piece when we are looking at what we should do moving forward rather than where we are now.
Thank you. Any other comments? Deputy Mayor.
Through you, Mayor Logo, this is just to go out for an expression of interest. This is what is before us?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that's correct.
Thank you.
Through you, your worship, just for information for council, there's many companies out there that I think this is a good idea, even though we are at a transitional stage of what exactly is going on in the arena. But in my previous employment, they had the advertising rights for the whole township, which means that's not just advertising. They're going away from wooden signs. Hockey arenas and that where they will do an investment where they'll install TVs to do the dressing room thing, and on the side of the dressing room thing is advertisements. And you know all this, Jeremy, boards on the side of the wall, advertising on the Zamboni. And the township gets a cut out of all of that. We don't want to spend any of the money on the TVs and that. That company comes in, they install them all, and they go around to local companies and they get advertisement, from companies around here. And there is money to be made in that. So a lot more than the old way of putting up plywood signs and all this. So I agree with this. It's just whether or not somebody will be interested in it enough right now, I guess we'll have to wait and see. But it's a good idea.
Good information.
Further comments? All in favor? Motion is carried. Next one, Canada Day Parade celebration.
So this staff report is based on a lot of conversation and feedback that staff have received about the existing practice of celebrating Canada Day on the Sunday before July 1st. The staff recommendation is to move the existing celebrations to the holiday itself.
Well,
Can you just put your mic on? Somebody just texted me that they can't hear me there.
oh, maybe I shut it down a little bit too low. Is that better?
I don't know if somebody, I don't even know who it is. Please ask the mayor to put on his microphone and please leave it on. I don't know.
Okay.
Thank you.
So this is the Canada Day Parade, and that the Committee of the Whole received report PR 202505 Canada Day Parade and Celebration for Information, and that the Committee of the Whole recommend to Council that the Township of Allen-McCullough hold its Municipal Canada Day Parade and Celebration annually on July 1st. Mover to seconder. Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Councillor Booth. Are there any comments? Councillor Booth. Oh, Councillor
can go first if you'd like.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. So I just kind of want to focus, I think it's a great idea. We should be putting our township there first. And the parade should be held on Canada Day. I think it's a great idea. I want to look towards the staffing because I don't see anything here about volunteers. And I know Mary, your Councillor O'Neill and myself have been taking the reins on this for the last couple of times. And I'm only assuming, but we're going to be a part of that, putting it together and running it. So that would be make sure we clarify, and any other volunteers that we can maybe have off our Parks and Rec committee that might want to help out. We could do that also. So that was just kind of my comment.
Councillor Booth.
Through you, your worship, I'd have to respectfully say that I don't agree with the comment about moving the date. I guess I have a question. When it says in the staff report, there's an abundance of feedback. Did that feedback come through you, your worship? Did that come via written requests or was that just verbally? Because as a councillor for 7 years now or whatever, I know when I first came here, the question everybody asks is, why do you do it the week before? And they tell me, and it's like, okay, that makes sense. And the reason for that is you're going to have a hard time getting any bands or anybody like that is going to come and play when they're going to go to Coburg or Brighton or anywhere else. And this historically has shown with people that have been involved in it that we've always done it the week before. So I guess my question is the abundance of feedback. Is that 1, 2, 6, Jeremy? Were they written? Were they just verbal? Or because I've never had anybody come to me to say move the date. Through you, your worship.
Jeremy, do you have a comment on that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, all verbal. To answer the question, I would say in the neighborhood of 25 to 30 different conversations.
Thank you. Councillor O'Neill.
I have to concur. I've had numerous people over the 33 years that I've lived here and say, well, why are you doing it on the Sunday before? But then when they receive the explanation that it allows us to have the dignitaries, and we are probably the only community that has as many dignitaries included in our parade as any, simply because it's on a different day. Otherwise, everybody's competing to get, and I know that David Piccini, it was his very first ever when he was elected as an MPP, and he holds a fond spot for it. So it has always been good for us to have more dignitaries present. Again, the bands, we have been fortunate to have the Coburg Pipes and Drums Band participate every year for us. They obviously would not be available on Canada Day. They would be in the Coburg Parade. And also some of the displays, and I particularly think of the archives displays, which is probably the most popular one that we have at our, in the arena space. And, you know, haven't been talking to them yet this year to make sure that they can come on either date. But again, I would think that, you know, our chances of people participating is much lower. And that would include floats. If there were any businesses, they'd pick going to Coburg over us. We've got our own little space and it has worked for 33 years. And I feel that there are reasons it works and benefits from us doing it.
Go ahead, Councillor Ainsworth.
Through you, Mayor, I wonder if we could have Jeremy reach out to these maybe key people to see what they might think of that. Having it on Canada Day, if they're available.
Go ahead, CEO.
Through your mayor to council or to you, mayor. I would just like to recommend as the CAO that if we were to stay in line with our strategic plan, the most appropriate thing to do would be to conduct a survey so that you could have the information before you. And that would help accomplish one of the goals, which is the communication aspect for the township. So at this point, if council wanted to see this as entertained as a date change, then that would be the avenue I would highly recommend. Otherwise, I think that the argument then just becomes futile and we'll just
Okay,
move on.
good idea.
Can we get a response? I guess we'll have to get it laid in the note pretty quick. That's what. Yeah, thank you. Mayor Catherine?
A survey without providing background information. So to Councillor Booth's comment, people do question, why do you do it on the Sunday? But as soon as they understand the reasons we've picked the Sunday before, they go, oh, that's clever. That's a great idea. So I would be very concerned about the timelines in doing this because we are already way too late. We should have been booking these things in February. So I'm already concerned. Somebody asked about, are these things available? I know for sure the Coburg Pipe and Drum Band is available on the Sunday because they always have us in there, and I have confirmed this year as well, but they are not available on July 1st. So for sure that one is the same, but I think reaching out to dignitaries at this point, I'm sure they've already committed to wherever they're going to be on Canada Day itself as well. But if we were doing a survey, that survey would need to include an explanation of why we did it in the past, but I'm not sure that that's appropriate when we've got such tight timelines, and maybe it is something to look at next year. But right now we've got people who have that in their calendar and that's what they expect. And we've always got fabulous coverage by today's Northumberland. Again, it has worked.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor, pardon me, Deputy Mayor Stoller.
Through you, Mayor Logal. I guess too, I kind of concur with Councillor O'Neill. Because of the tight timelines, is this something that we could keep on the date for this year and then next year start entertaining? Maybe the Canada Day parade and celebration will look different, but you will have a year to plan it. Whereas now, the other question too, I would have, this parade would run through the Parks and Rec committee. Is that how this is working? I'm not sure if I ever seen anything come forward with
I think
how it was going to be arranged. So that would be, I think we need to clarify that as well. Thank you.
I think there's some, I think we need to answer that question as well.
Thank you.
Either one, what date? Jeremy, do you have a comment on that? Okay. You want to say something?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, in answer to the Deputy Mayor's question, the new terms of reference that were just approved for the Parks and Rec Committee, it is under their purview to plan special events with Canada Day specifically identified. So they'd be working with staff to help coordinate and facilitate and plan this event.
So everything would go through the township or like go through the administration part of it.
Correct. So their first meeting would be April 24th. Sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor. The first meeting is April 24th. So we'd be looking at getting a subcommittee created for Canada Day planning, which would then work closely with staff to help facilitate and organize the event.
Thank you. I got it.
That answers the question.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm tending to, well, my thoughts, I'm tending to agree with Deputy Mayor. I don't, and Councillor O'Neill, I don't think we have enough time to plan this properly. I think Dave comes up with a great idea to send out a survey, and perhaps that should be done in the fall,
Mhm.
so that we can take it, get people's opinion of it. And, I agree that over the years, the Christmas, or pardon me, the Sunday before the actual day has been always happy. But then we got to look at, we got different people living in the community now. with
Yeah.
houses, and maybe,
Yeah.
maybe it's more important.
And maybe it would look different. The whole celebration
Yeah.
would look different than it does now if it was on July 1st. So we have more time to plan. Thank
And
you.
one thing I'll tell you, we used to get $1,000 for, from the government for holding that. When they found out that we weren't holding it on the actual day, they cut us off and said, if you don't hold it on this day, you don't get it. That was the policy. Their policy. So there's $1,000 you'll be able to put into your fling next year. You got to apply for it, and you got to apply for it, I think, before Christmas.
Mayor Logal, was that federal or provincially?
Federal.
Thank you.
And I remember having a scrap. I won't mention who the name was, but I did get into a scrap with the MP at the time. Okay. All in favor?
Mayor,
Oh, go ahead, Mike.
that's you, Mayor. Just one final. I'm just wondering if we have like even a 2-week window, because if it all comes together, you could put this together fairly quick. If everybody that we've had from last year, the last couple of years can come on Canada Day, and then we could probably pull this off. So I mean, if we could get some emails out to the participants that we usually do from last year, and dignitaries that have to come, then could we bring this back to the planning meeting? If we could do a quick survey online and contact these people.
I think we have a motion on the floor that we weren't, have we got a motion on the
No.
floor?
It's a motion that we do.
That we move it.
To the first. So if we could defer it till the planning meeting, and if we could just do a little bit of legwork to see if we could make it happen for the first. Does staff have time to do that?
I'm gonna call the vote. Just to follow it through with the recommendation. All in favor?
For this one,
Yes.
for July 1st.
Opposed? The motion is carried. The motion is defeated. Thank you, Jeremy. Who's got the warm seat? Okay, moving right along, we have next report is Public Works Report. CAO 2025, Public Works Report for the Grafton Traffic Safety Review. David, since you started this long before Stefan was here, I think it's properly that you take us through this.
Great, thank you, Mayor, and through you, Mayor, to council. So at last, the traffic safety review for Grafton. It is dated April 3rd, 2025, and I confirm with council that that is the date that staff received it. I will also tell you that I am here to just present the overview of it, that our Public Works Manager, Stefan, has not had an opportunity to review this yet. But there's some significance in here that we'll get into in the implementation stages of the report and the recommendations. Overall, in your table of contents, it identifies everything that was taken into account. And the report being of 90 pages identifies some great information and also has a lot of really good pictures that help identify clearly to you as to what some of the mission may be. It has been brought to my attention that the road count study for Station Road potentially is incorrect in this report. I've not had the time to confirm that, but I do know that all of the information in this report was provided by our Public Works Department at the time of request by Jewel. Jewel meaning Jewel Engineering Company. I bring your attention mostly to the recommendations on page 77. As page 77 identifies very clearly kind of a roadmap that we could, no pun intended, by the way, but a little bit of a roadmap for our public works department to follow with regards to the recommendations provided in the report. I'm just going to scroll here for a minute. So if you would please go to page 80 of the report, that's where it starts to identify the actual tasks and the items listed in priority 1, priority 2, priority 3, and priority 4. And it lists an estimated cost value there. So their recommendation is for the Public Works Department to complete priority number 1 in 2025, to look at and complete and to be able to budget for priority 2 in 2026. And then priority 3 and 4 would come back into the planning requirement of what it is that we could accomplish. And I do believe that there's some small significances here that we can make, that the Public Works Department can do with respect to line painting, sign installment, sign placement, etc., that is identified in the report that could greatly assist the safety in Grafton for all residents. It identifies better lighting solutions for streetlights, identifies some walkways, some increase to proper requirements for sidewalks, and not to mention that identifies the new installation of a crosswalk at Station Road, right by the Catholic Public School. And all of the pictures and design is within this document. So it is here for council, or sorry, for committee of the whole to review. And I look forward to the direction being provided to staff to implement this plan and to bring it back. I would think that with respect to priority number 1, because we have not budgeted for the funds, that the requirement would be for our interim treasurer, the CAO, and our public works manager to get together to come back to council with a report on how we're going to fund this before we actually press the green light or the green button. But I don't see a problem here for being able to plan for the future with some realignment of funds to understand what it is that we could do. I think it's a very good document overall, and I think it accomplishes what we set out to.
Thank you. Questions? Nothing here, go ahead.
Through your mayor logo to Dave, when I look at the different documents and I even see the sign painting or the road painting, the different signs, that is certainly going to bring focus to what is going on in that area, because now there isn't anything. Well, maybe there's a little bit, but I think that will be a start. And then as we go through, it's a lot to digest in here. I printed it off so I could keep going back and forth as I go through it. So the priority 1 certainly makes sense. So, and whatever we can do right out of the gate in-house, cost-wise, that would be my suggestion to get it started. Thank you.
Through you, your worship, a very nice document. I'm very happy with this. It, as the deputy mayor said, it's a lot to digest. I've read it a couple of times, but I do like what the CAO just mentioned is we're basically looking at, we have to come up with $84,000 this year, which I think is quick fixes that can be done. And I don't necessarily like doing things out of budget, but I'm sure if the CAO can meet with the manager of public works and we can try and find some money somewhere, or, you know, different avenues of where we can get some money. But I think it's good that we can work on at least these things. And then next year with priority 2, it's a more balanced approach, which is we're looking for basically $247,000 and that'll be more budgeted. So I do like this, and I think it's great for the community that we're going to start on this to fix some of these things. And it's going to be a 2, 3, 4 year thing until this can be done. But I think it's great overall, and I would agree with going ahead and pressing the green light, as Dave said, with the priority number ones.
I agree with all of this, although within priority 1, we have number 5, the school crossing guard, and I do identify that that could be optional. I think if we're looking for one not to proceed on from a budget, 64,000 and reallocating within the public works budget, we probably can find that kind of money. I think that we definitely should be looking at it. This is an issue that has been brought forward for as long as I can remember, and there have been things done over the years. And certainly when they rearranged and made the parking lot there at St. Mary's, it made it much, much safer for the kids getting on and off the buses, but there's still a tremendous need to continue to improve that. A couple of comments that the numbers, the speed in front of the public school, there does seem to be something a bit wonky there. So you mentioned that you were going to look into that, but I want to reiterate that I think it's important we look into those numbers in front of the public school. It probably isn't the case that everybody is slowing down and going below the speed limit going by there. And also that this be a document that we share with the 2 schools, but also the church that's right there, because it will impact it. The community center, because they've taking the kids back and forth for the after school program, is certainly one of those issues. Parking, even within the early on at times, is an issue in that location as well. So, I mean, we're not going to get them all solved this year, but I think it would be worthwhile to share with the early on and the before and after school as well, to continue to gather more feedback on it and make sure that the community knows this document is there as well. That covers all my comments.
Go ahead, Councilman Ainsworth.
Through you, Mayor. A little bit about the speed limits, because I know we've had some dialogue with residents with speed limits on Station Road, Lakeshore Road, that kind of stuff. Would it be possible that because of the changing speed limits, like say coming from Chubb Point back to the school, they go from 80 down to 60 down to 40. Would it not just make much sense to make it 40 and then 60 from Glens of Athens right through down to Chubb Point, and then also down across Lakeshore Road in those hamlet limits? It just seems 80 kilometers is a fair amount of speed when you're traveling down through there, because we have a lot of people walking their dogs, walking with their kids and babies in baby carriage, bicycling, a lot of bicycling. So to me, it would make sense just to kind of put together like a common denominator of, nothing more than 60 in all those areas where we could. And the other part is that now that I see all these things, this was great to read, and I'm going to have to go over it a couple more times to digest it all. But what can we use this in Roseneath? What around their school, because we got Highway 45, and I know it's down to 50 kilometers through there, but could we be using some of these in around that school zone? Could we be using it right here in Centerton? What about Lakeport? That kind of stuff. So although that we may not have to do a study there, but can we take all this stuff that we got here and go, yeah, we could use it there and we could use it there? Because we do have the school on 45. And I'm not sure how busy that all is and whether there's kids that walk to school or they're all bussed in. But we should look further into that over the next couple of years or whatever, and see where we can use this throughout the municipality and help residents as a whole.
I like your idea, and I think it is possible that once we get them installed in the Grafton area, then it would be natural to move them into the other areas. I do want to comment a little bit on that 60 and why it changes up and down and back and forth. I don't know if you're aware of it, but the railroad have a speed limit when you get within so close to them.
Mm-hmm.
which is why there's 60s, it seems to be way far away from the school. And nobody seems to know, I don't think anybody understands that, but that's the reason why. And you'll see the same thing if you go down to the 2 or 3 other roads, Thomas Road, and further on down, Boundary Road, I guess it is, where they have 60 kilometers within, I think it's 500 feet or 1,000 feet of the railway tracks. I think that priority one is very important, and I think that it is, as Mary Catherine and Greg, and I guess everybody has mentioned that.
Yeah.
This is something we should be jumping on it quick. There isn't, if we can do all of them, I don't know whether we can do them all in a year or not, but I would like to see as many of these priority ones, once Seven's had a little bit of a chance to look at it and give us a report saying this is the ones that he wants to do, which I think is important. That we go ahead and do them and hopefully get them done prior to the start of school. If that's possible, that should be our goal, I think. The other thing, the schools were big promoters of pushing, or actually wanted to see some of this stuff done. And it is my belief that this is an opportunity for the province to help us out and spend some money and get this all together. And I also think we will be able to get letters from the schools saying this is a concern and we support this 100%. And not only going to the transportation or whatever else, but go to the minister in charge of education and get some help with this, because I think it's, pardon me?
I would also administrative transportation.
Yeah, all of them. This is important, and it is a challenge. I look at the one that caught my eye the most was, and I see this every day, particularly in the winter when the kids are on the west side of Station Road and cross over to the Catholic parking lot. And instead of going through the parking lot, which is what they recommend, and I guess you'd have to get an agreement with the owner of that, I believe is the church, but I'm not 100% sure. But they walk on that little green path along the side, and it's like this. And when the snowplow comes along, it pushes it right in there, and you go pumping over there. You know, it's silly.
Yeah.
And lots of these fairly cheap ones are pretty reasonably priced. I will make a comment to you, Councilor O'Neill, on the having people assist going across the crosswalks. I'm sure that the township went after those 2 or 3 years ago and didn't get anybody to
Up
apply.
at 45, yeah.
Well, they tried it in Grafton as well, and they couldn't get anybody. Nobody wanted the, I guess, responsibility of looking after the kids every day. Although with all the snow days they get, there's a lot of days you get all of these. I have the CAO want to make a comment.
Through your mayor, actually, I'm going to go into several explanations if I can. So with respect to the speed limits, priority one identifies to reevaluate the speed limits on Station Road. And there's a cost to that project, which is identified here at $1,500. So that is going to get done as priority number one at the implementation stage. So it is something to look at. The report does make reference to the speed limits on the street in further areas. It makes reference to the community safety zone, et cetera. Some of this ties into, and that is as your hamlet increases or as you change to a village, et cetera, then your boundaries increase, and so your community safety zone does, and it works together in that regard. So it does talk about extending the community safety zone. It talks about the install hidden intersection signage so that people understand where that is. Talks about traffic calming measures, which is something that this council brought up about whether it was speed bumps or whatever. What identifies in this report is the signage that goes in the center of the road, right? And then snow plows can get around those as well, but that is within your school zone, your actual school zone, and we could do that in a couple areas as per here. The vegetation clearing is hugely important. And also street lighting. Street lighting, we know that there's quite a few dark areas there that need to be addressed. Specifically speaking about the pedestrian crossover installation or the crosswalk. Number one, I'm excited for the sidewalk installation because we are not AODA compliant at this particular point in time within the village. And I know that we do have at least one or two residents who are physically challenged that depend on this. And I have been there and observed one. I believe it would be their grandchildren who they're escorting to school. And honestly, it's quite difficult for them on what exists. So we do have to bring this up to standard. With respect to the crossing guard, the crossing guard position still exists within your pay grade, to my understanding, but I don't believe it has been budgeted for. And I know that Councillor O'Neill has brought this up as a concern for the future and what do we do? You have a report here that was developed by an engineering firm that is identifying liability and identifying liability risk mitigation for you in the form of priorities. In my research in some other municipalities, it is common that when council says, yes, we shall have a crossing guard at that location, if you can't fill it by way of a hiring process, that it is still the responsibility of the municipality to have a crossing guard there. And so you backfill that position with your existing staff. You may pull somebody from Public Works in the morning to say, we have to cover it. It may come from your Parks and Rec. It could come from anywhere, but you need to fill that position for that time period of school in and school out. So if council wants this and says this needs to be done, it is not an excuse to have the position vacant. It is a requirement. And if council decides, then we have to fill it. And that goes with filling sick time, filling holiday time for a part-time position in this regard. If we're lucky enough to get somebody to fill it, fantastic. But if not, it does not mitigate your liability. We still require to do it.
Can I just, as long as council says that we have to have a site someone, if we decide we don't want to put one there, then everything just.
So I would like to address that.
Okay.
If you decide that you don't want to have one there, you need to understand the legalities of making that decision. Because you have an engineering report that says you probably should have this. This is considered best practices, right? So in all of our cases, and to address Councillor Ainsworth with respect to Rose Neath, and could we use some of this stuff? We could, but it would be better practice if you had your own study done for Rose Neath. Rose Neath involves a county roadway, right? So there's different ramifications that come with that. So it would be prudent that you had an independent study done for that area so that you have a document that follows or that you can follow. And really the big reason for this is that if anything unfortunately were to happen at any of these crosswalks that are going to be installed, that you have done your due diligence. You can honestly say we did everything we could do to assist.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councilor O'Neill.
I'm looking at the document in front of me on page 118 of our agenda package, and it says school crossing guards, and then right after it, it says optional. So I think this, in my mind, very much ties to sharing this document with the schools, share this document with the after-school program that the Y is running, and bring that back to us. But at this point, it is saying this is optional, and I think we need to explore the option, but not move forward with it at this time. And if I may, I have a comment to Councillor Ainsworth. Yesterday, I was up in Roseneath for a meeting, and there on the side of Highway 45 was a new light, one of those flashing lights where the school zone safety, when it is school time, that's flashing, and the 40 kilometers an hour. So the county has made some adjustments up there, which is fantastic. I was so excited to see that last night.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Through your memorable today, although it does say crossing guards is optional, this company wouldn't be privy to our bylaws stating that we are having one or we are to have one. Would that be fair to say?
Through you, Mayor, I would suggest that we would need to review the bylaw that was created by council with respect to the crossing guard. I respect that Councillor Neal has identified this as optional in the report and can be optional to you too. I think legal opinion would be interesting in that case, but we could certainly do the research to see what bylaw was created and the language that was put in it at the time and see if that's something we could bring that back as part of the report. Again, I feel that this needs to be reviewed with the public works manager and our
Right.
treasurer, and we need to figure out our implementation strategy for it, following the guideline, and that needs to come back to council. And I know that it's not going to get done for next week's council meeting, so I would suggest that it should come back to you next month for your committee of the whole meeting, that we could present an implementation plan and where the money is going to come from, and give all of those decisions to council to make.
Go ahead. Councillor.
Through you, your worship, it's a good discussion on the crossing guard, and I can say, as a manager of Parks and Rec for Ajax, many times, as you do state, Mr. CAO, it's true that Ajax had many crosswalks, and if somebody didn't show up, either somebody from the Public Works Department went or somebody from my staff. And we had the official stop sign and everything, and they had to go out there and cover. And sometimes it happens all the time. So I think it's an important decision. I don't see it happening now for this school year, but hopefully through discussions and everything, I like your idea of going to the school, and there might be parents that show up there all the time or live close by that makes it worth their while that want to be a crossing guard, and it would be great. But if we decide we are going to have a crossing guard, then as Dave said, if that person doesn't show up or whatever, then one of our public works people or one of Jeremy's people are going to have to go out there. So it's a decision that has to be made in the future. I just don't see it being done for this school year. Hopefully in September, we could have it all resolved.
Any other further comments? So what I'm hearing is, and I think everybody would say the same, is that first of all, it has to go back to the public works manager. They're gonna look at it and see what, make his thoughts, and then come back to council at the next town meeting. That we are going to push towards priority one items first, and see if we can't get some of them done this year or before school starts. And that we should go after some help from the province for some funding on this. And that probably isn't going to happen tonight, but the sooner we get it, the better chance we got at it. So everybody agree with that?
And make a decision on the crossing guard.
Yeah. Well, that'll probably come with Stefan's recommendation. So you have to make any amendments. I'm going to receive it. We're going to ask to come back for the public works manager to have investigate further and come back with some type of plan for the next council meeting. I've read it. Okay. Yep. Okay. Okay. So I'll read the recommendation, the resolution that the committee of the whole received report CAO 2025-12 for the public works report for information, and that the committee of the whole recommended council to approve the Grafton traffic safety report, and we're going to modify that so that staff further review and report back at the next committee of council, committee of. That summarize it all? I can move in second. Moved by Councillor Booth, second by Councillor Angel. Any further discussion? Yes, go ahead.
Just that, the speed item be discussed with Jewel in that time period as well, to see if there would have been any changes to the recommendation if the speed was 51 rather than 32. So I don't think that would have to be part of the motion. They're
No.
bringing it back, but just as a note that that item should be investigated.
I agree. Councillor Booth moved it, Councillor Ainsworth seconded it. You know, if I can comment just on your thought there. I do sit on the Northumberland OPP board, and they've been very supportive. If we know we got a problem, and we tell them that that's the places that they should be. Better not say that. But anyways, I can tell you that they do go out in any hour of the day if they know they got problems. And we'll follow up and see if there actually are problems and people are charged for that. So it's important that we stay informed as to all the challenges that we have. And I can tell you right now that last year they concentrated a lot in Grafton on County Road 2. This road going north here, 22 east and west. And I believe we mentioned Grafton's public school, but maybe we haven't emphasized enough. So if they hear from us, they will do something. And I'm going to suggest that the members of the public can also, they may not be able to rush out there, but it wouldn't hurt them to call and let them know that they feel that they have speeding in the areas as well. And if they do that, then I can support them on that.
I just wanted to add as well, Mayor Logel, and I did mention it to you that I seen a foot patrol about 3 weeks ago. So I was quite impressed on that.
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, I told that to the chief, and he was very, very pleased to have someone
Notice
recognize
it.
that
Good.
they've been out there the day before. Because it fit right into what he was talking about. Okay, so all in favor of that motion? You want to read it back to us, or?
Yeah, please.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, I have that the Committee of the Whole receive report CAO 2025-12 Public Works Report for information, and that the report be referred to staff for further comment and recommendations to be brought forward to a future Committee of the Whole meeting.
All in favor? Motion carried. I'm going to move on to administrative report, and it's the flag policy, CLK 205, the flag policy. The Committee of the Whole received report CLK 205 and 8 flag policy for information. And the Committee of the Whole recommend Council that the flag policy for your township development policy be approved. Can I get a move in second? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, second by Council Ainsworth.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I don't, but I'm happy to answer any questions that might come up.
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Through you, Mayor Logel. I'm not sure if we're up for a year yet or not, but when I was reading this, I may have missed it, that we didn't go with having another pole, flag pole. Does this address it? Because we did have like the other, there are issues about sharing flag poles. And so I just need a little clarification there. Thank you.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, so this policy does address where flags will be flown. So we have identified that at the Grafton Municipal Office, there's 2 flag poles that flank the front entrance. So currently we have the Canadian and the provincial flag that's flown. If we do get a request that would come in, the provincial flag would be lowered in accordance to standard protocols outlined by, I forget the government agency, but there is a flag etiquette that we'd be following, and the Canadian flag is always left. So we would be removing the in order of hierarchy, I suppose.
Yeah,
So the provincial would be replaced with whichever one is selected.
thank you.
Go ahead, Councilor Ainsworth.
So you, Mayor, so hearing that, could we purchase a flagpole that say bolts onto to the side of the office to fly these additional flags without changing the other one or lowering it? Instead of a flagpole, because I think the last time we talked about this, they were like $1,500. But they do make them that bolt onto the side of the building where we could fly these additional flags. Yep.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, in theory, yes, we can. However, with the deterioration of the facade of the building, I would recommend that we don't proceed with trying to attach anything at this point in time. Just again, with the state of the current structure.
Mm.
It would be better off if we were to do a flagpole to do a standalone. But again, with the uncertainty of the future of the building, it's just easier at this point in time just to replace the provincial one as and when the requests are requested and approved.
So another one, Mayor. So can we have some consistency through the policy, how long flags are flown? You know, some are a week, some are a day, some are a month. Can we have some consistency and equality with everybody?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, the policy does identify how long there's maximum and minimums as to how long flags can fly. So I believe it does identify the maximum length that a flag can be flown. I'd have to go back through it to identify which specifically it does, but I do know it addresses longevity.
Okay, thank you.
It seems that there's lots of different organizations that request a flag or flag to be flown for whatever reason. Some of them specifically say 1 week, some say 1 day, and so it's all over the place. And it's hard to do. My question to you, Mr. Clerk, and I'll get together with the council. We have several properties that we can fly flags at. Is there a specific number of flags that all of them should be flown on, or can we make that decision that we only fly the Canadian flag, provincial flag, or whatever? Go ahead.
To you, Mayor, in answer to your question and the research that I've done because of the conversation that was had many months ago in council with respect to flags, specifically the third one, a municipal office by example is designed to have 2 flagpoles. It is become more and more customary that 3 are installed on the new buildings, hence the fire station in Roseneath is probably our newest one there. And typically it's the Canadian flag and it's your municipal flag. What I believe the clerk has created here is a very clear policy for us to follow because we don't have a very good one on hand, and it gives us a very good starting point. As we progress into the future, we could identify how many flags, if we want 3 at the next building. When you look at what may happen in Grafton with the arena, there may be in the schematics that there's 3 flagpoles. I don't know, but we could research that when the time comes.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we fly on Vanilla. One at the Roseneath. I'm not even sure how many is in Roseneath at the Civic Center. Dude, don't know. Vernonville flies one.
The Public Works.
Public Works flies at least 1, maybe 2. Oh, it's kind of all over the place, and when I was reading your report, I was assuming that you were talking more specifically about the council change. Am I right in that or not? Go ahead.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, just to back up a little bit. So to confirm, Councillor Ainsworth, yes, it is a one week maximum flag flying for a community request. It's identified in the report. The policy. And then coming back, the community flags were just identifying flying at 1 flagpole at the Grafton Municipal Office when we look at the requirement for individuals, for the requesters to supply flags, and also the staff time involved with going around to all of our facilities. If we were to fly community flags at all of the individual facilities, it would not be in the best interest of staff time, efficiency, mileage, and the list continues. So by identifying that one community flagpole, we're helping to streamline the efficiency and saying, hey, this is our community support at the administrative offices.
Thank you. Any other comments? Go ahead, Councilor.
So Mayor, I'm wondering at this time with this, with the policy and everything, do we need another poll? Would it make more sense to have another poll for the cost?
I think that's what you're gonna have to make that decision. That's for everyone to decide. And is it $100? Is that big? Anybody else have been, go ahead, don't.
So then can I make a motion that we investigate the cost of another pole and installing it?
Let's see, where is the burner $1,600? Okay.
Mhm.
Those are good.
Through you, your worship, I think that motion would, I don't want to say not be legal, but I believe it's been voted on and it would have to be a year, or you would have to have a motion to reconsider because we discussed that and decided that we weren't going to spend the money on a third flagpole. And I would agree with what the clerk is saying, the easiest way right now, because we don't know what's happening at the location and everything is instead of spending that money, it's take the provincial one down, let that one fly, and then let's look at the future, how this policy plays out. And then if we have a new place or whatever, then we can look at putting more flagpoles, right?
I'll withdraw that.
Committee of the whole. Well, that's been, moved and seconded, moved by Deputy Shore and seconded by Councilor Gaines. The committee of the whole received report CLK 2025-08 flag policy for information, and that the committee of the whole recommend to to council that the flag policy for the township of Allenwick, Haldeman be approved. Any further questions?
No, but I have a comment.
Okay,
I just want to thank and draw council's attention that there is a revision date on here for 2030. So I'm pleased to see that as part of what's coming forward with its revision date.
for 2030.
If you look at our policy, it's got the effective date, which would be May 13th, 2025. And then underneath it says
Okay, I
revision date.
understand what you're saying.
So this, I think, is a good practice because it means these things will be routinely looked at. So just
5 years.
complimenting that.
Okay, all in favor? That motion's carried. That moves us to the end of the regular council meeting, and we'll be going into closed next. So we'll have to vacate the room for anybody that doesn't need to be here. Bye, Jeremy. And staff will have to let anybody know that's on the attending virtually that they're going to cut them, have to remove them from the time being, and then we'll come back to council, open council at the end of the, after we finish closed. So whenever you're ready. If I have. Okay, I'll read the motion first. Mary Catherine, hold on just for a second. That the committee of the whole meeting of April 15th, 2025 move into a closed session under Municipal Act, Section 239(2)C. A proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, legislation or potential legislation, including matters before administrative tribunal affecting the municipality or local board, or advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for the purpose of a position, a plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or on behalf of the municipal or local board. And can I get a mover in a second for that? Am I supposed to read this? And this closed meeting will be to discuss the Dunnet Landing Boat launch as on Lakeshore Drive and, pardon, no, that's it. And Lakeshore Drive, Curtis Point Road. And disposition of land. Can I get a mover in a second? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Booth. All in favor? Thank you. That's carried.